place to buy this spring with their sale on athletic shoes. Get $15 off any regular priced athletic shoes with respected brands like Hoka, Brooks, New Balance, and On Running. And don't forget, Browns carries a large arrangement of sizes and widths to fit your feet properly. Start your spring off right at Browns Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
Garage doors can break down or quit working at the worst times. At Doors Plus, they understand that a broken garage door sometimes means repair and not replace. Sometimes, all you need to make your door like new again is a few bolts, a realignment, or even a new balance. Trust the pros at Doors Plus to handle your garage door repair the right way so you can get on with your busy schedule. Visit them online at DoorsPlusLLC.com or give them a call today at 402-590-5800. Doors Plus. Garage doors and more.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see decreasing clouds throughout the day, and it will be breezy. An afternoon high near 56. Tonight, mainly clear skies and light winds, below around 29. And tomorrow, we'll see partly sunny skies return. It'll be breezy with an afternoon high near 64. I'm meteorologist Kyle Carriker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Looking for a financial partner that truly makes a difference? Modern Woodman is a member-owned fraternal financial services organization. We can help you plan for all stages of life, from protection to saving to retirement. We also offer member benefits, social activities, and volunteer opportunities to help your family and community.
I'm Sean Erickson, your Modern Woodman representative in Lincoln. Call me at 402-483-6515 to start the conversation.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
Forget the lame excuse this year. Your boss already knows why you can't make it to work for those magical 2 days in mid-March. Join 93.7 The Ticket on Thursday and Friday at Buffalo Wings and Rings at 68th and O for March Mayhem. Come early on Thursday and get a ping pong ball with a lucky team on it. And stay all day for prizes throughout and buzzer beater upsets. It's March Mayhem with 93.7 The Ticket for the NCAA tournament at Buffalo Wings and Rings, 68th and O. You're listening to coverage of the NCAA tournament live from Buffalo Wings and Rings at 68th and O on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, first and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Day 2 of March Madness is upon us. For the men, day 1 of the women. Nebraska women's basketball takes on Louisville this evening. Our good buddies from Omaha, Creighton, took care of the men's Louisville basketball team yesterday. Hopefully, the Huskers women's basketball team can do the same today as well. Once again, a loaded show, the Adam Carriker Show, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time here on 93.7 The Ticket. Day 2 of being live at Buffalo Wings and Rings here in good old Lincoln, Nebraska. All right, little thought for the day. My wife has like 25% of a conversation in her head before she ever decides to bring me into it. We can be walking in silence, and she'll just be like, and then we'll go straight to the restaurant from there. And I have no idea what she's talking about, but she knows, and I should know too. Now, that's what was sent to me by my own wife. Now, I don't know if that's a hint. I don't know exactly what that means, but if you don't like that, that I shared that, it's okay because my wife sent it to me. So you can take that however you'd like. But yeah, there are times when she says things and I'm like, was I just not listening? Because there's a 90% chance I wasn't listening. Or did you just start mid-thought and the conversation just started there, but in your head it's been there for like 25% of the time already? Jake, you ever have that issue?
I can't recall. I'll stay out of this altogether.
You can't recall?
Yeah,
the answer is yes. He just gave you the answer of yes without giving you the answer of
I
yes.
don't want to get in trouble today. We just started the show.
So is it too early, Jaysker, Hawks guys? Is it too soon for that, Jake? All right. Couple of quick things. We do have a loaded show as always. All right, Nebraska women's basketball. We're going to talk a lot about them. Update on the men's tournament. Clemson. Lord almighty. I picked them to beat McNeese. Of course, McNeese walked out with like the greatest collegiate basketball tournament entrance of all time. All right, if you saw that yesterday, who was that? Was that their equipment manager? Who was that?
I didn't even. I saw a tweet of it. I didn't watch it, but I saw them. They got some pump for it. What'd they do?
The guy like leading them out. Fun-looking individual. In fact, the cheerleaders had socks. The McNeese cheerleaders had socks of his face on them, and they were wearing them. A little shorter dude. He's got like the boom box, and he's like leading the team out. It's a rap song, and they're all just like into it. The game was over at that moment. But Clemson, man, the fifth-seeded Tigers go down to McNeese. We are going to give an update on all the men's tournaments. All right. But I was curious. If here's number of points scored, because Clemson had 13 points at halftime. They were down 27-3. Jake, that's 3 touchdowns and 3 2-point conversions, in case you were wondering. 27-3 at one point. They had 13 points at halftime. So the least amount of points ever scored in a March Madness game, all right, was by North Carolina in 1941, the NCAA tournament, when they scored just 20 points in a 26-20 loss to the Pittsburgh Panthers. Now, that was pre-shot clock era. All right. So when you look, let me see here, 46 points in the shot clock era is the fewest ever scored. All right. And Clemson, I should have looked up the final score before we officially went on air. All right. I was so enamored by the 27-3 and only having 13 points at halftime. That was just crazy to me. All right. Let's look up the score real quick and see what it was. They actually ended up with 67 points, it looks like, but they were down so big, so early. Had to make a late barrage. All right. It was 31-13 at halftime. They actually roared back, outscored McNeese 54-38 in the second half, but still lost to the Cowboys from McNeese. 69-67. But, man, the offensive struggles right out the gate was just brutal. And a lot of people questioned. You questioned them. And it's a fair thing to question. Their coach left. How was the coaching going to unfold? Man, McNeese handled themselves really, really well. Came out on fire. Clearly not intimidated. Great entrance onto the court to start out the game. We're able to hold off Clemson late to hold on to the victory, 69-67. Throughout today's show, women's basketball. We're going to do our women's basketball brackets. We're going to go a little bit quicker than yesterday. Men's tourney updates. Thomas Fidone. There are some NFL scouts that like him. And like he may get drafted like in a middle round, which is interesting. Not that I doubt him in any way, shape, or form, but when you look at what he did on the field, struggled to block. If you toss it to him in the flat, one of the things you want to do, if you're a guy catching the ball in the flat with your wide receiver, running back on a bootleg or whatever the case may be, a fullback out of the backfield, you want to catch the ball, turn and go upfield. He struggled to do that. But there are certain things that NFL scouts like about him. All right, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. Deion Sanders, I love this. And I know it's an unpopular take. I have thought for years spring games should be versus other actual teams. Well, Adam, what about poaching? I'll address that. Adam, what about the additional injury risk? I'll address that. Part of it is, if you just think about basic, simple math, if you're scrimmaging yourself, because you're going to scrimmage throughout spring, whether you do a spring game or not, you're still going to scrimmage. If you do a spring game versus yourself, which the majority of college football teams are still doing, you have 22 players on the field. If you're playing another team, you've actually only got 11. So there's an argument to be made. You've literally got half the injury risk, if you want to look at it that way. We're going to address all of that. All right, and Georgia's actually had more players arrested in the past 3 years than they've actually won football games, and they've won a lot of football games. All right, now, at the top of the hour, again, I'll let you all know where you can sign up for the Carriker Chronicles football camp. All right, featuring Amon Green, Eric Crouch, yours truly, and more Huskers to be announced in the future. It's CarrikerChronicles.com, but we'll talk more about that at the top of the hour. But real quick, 2 Huskers brought home national titles at the NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships. Shout out to Oxelina Johansson in the shot put. All right, 19.28 meters, 63 3/4 feet. That's impressive. And Tyrus Wilson on the high jump, all right, 2.28 meters, 7 feet 5 3/4. That's like me. Okay, well, don't take this personally. It's like me with your head chopped off on top of my head. That's what that's like. I was going to chop my head off and put it on yours, but I'm taller than you are, and we needed the additional height in there. So don't take it personally. But congratulations to those two. That is phenomenal. Axelina and Tyrus are national champions. All right. You want to talk about a rough day and a kind of a tough season. All right. Kansas becomes the second AP preseason number 1 to lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Since joining themselves, they were the last team to do it, and the last time to do it was 2005, getting upset 79-72. The 7th-seeded Jayhawks, who were number 1 earlier this year, okay, lose to the 10th-seeded Arkansas Razorbacks. Man. Arkansas's head coach, remind me his name. I'm blanking.
John Calipari.
Yes. Did duty to UMass. Won a title at Kentucky. It was time to move on. Year 1, already doing it at Arkansas. Most people would have never thought, hey, you're going to beat Kansas. You might get to round 2 of the NCAA tournament. Maybe. If you knew where they were at recently, that wasn't even a likely scenario that was going to happen. You beat Kansas. Kansas on a down year. But you beat Kansas. You go into the round 2 of the tournament. They could get into the Sweet 16 possibly. All right, Kansas will miss the round of 32 for the first time since 2006. So they hadn't won an NCAA tournament game lost an NCAA, not at least won one NCAA tournament game in 19 years. So it's been 19 years since they will not be going on to the second round. All right. Now, man, it's hard not to consider this anything but a failure of a season for the Jayhawks based on their standards. Also the fact 21-13 on the season, a $4 million payroll for their basketball team. All right. So I'm sure they'll bounce back. Bill Self is a phenomenal coach. Rough year for them to start off the season, though. All right, Jake. Nebraska women's basketball, and then we'll get into our men's tournament updates, probably segment 2, segment 3. They are taking on at 5 o'clock tonight Louisville. Louisville's 21-10, 13-5 in the regular season. All right. Their last game, they lost to Duke 61-48 in the ACC tournament after defeating Clemson 70-68 in the previous game to kick off their ACC tournament 70-68 in overtime. All right. They have dropped 3 of their last 5 games overall. All right. And Nebraska's won 3 of their last 4. So hopefully Nebraska can keep that momentum going. Hopefully Louisville can keep struggling. That would be phenomenal. But all 3 losses were to top 10 opponents. They've had a pretty tough schedule, including a 72-59 loss to then number 3 Notre Dame in South Bend, 79-75 loss to number 9 North Carolina. The Cardinals' other win during the 5-game stretch also came to Clemson. All right, that was a molly-whopping 78-52 on February 27th. Louisville has been led by first-team All-ACC guard Jada Curry, who averages a team-best 13.4 points while ranking second on the team with 3.1 assists per game. Curry, who shares the team lead with 51 three-pointers, missed both of Louisville's ACC tournament games. She'll be back tonight, but she missed them with a shoulder injury. She averaged 18.7 points and 4.5 boards over Louisville's last 6 regular season games that she participated in. All right, the Cardinals are led by 6'3" graduate forward Olivia Cochran, who averages 10.1 points and a team-best 7 rebounds per game. She leads the Cards with 6 double-doubles on the season. That's crazy. She leads them with 6, which is really good. Alexis Markowski has 52 in her career. Think about that. That's crazy. All right, including 11 points and 11 rebounds in the ACC tournament loss to Duke, her 3rd double-double in the last 5 games. Now, Louisville, Nebraska, the series, Nebraska women's basketball history. Louisville leads the all-time series with the Huskers 3-1. All right, now, you look at kind of Alexis, specifically Markowski. Nebraska's All-American candidate Alexis Markowski became the first women's basketball player in Husker history to earn 4 first or second team all-conference honors in school history, 2-time second team All-Big Ten, 2-time first team All-Big Ten the last 2 seasons when the Big Ten announced its annual awards on March 4th. The 6'3" center from Lincoln, all right, claimed first team All-Big Ten honors. Lincoln Lasers, I might add, I have a daughter playing for the youth program, the Lincoln Lasers, so shout out to them. All right. I have no problem shouting out something that my kids are a part of. Otherwise, you got to pay here on the show. All right, the 6'3" center from Lincoln played for the Lasers. Honors from the conference media for the second straight year, while adding second-team accolades from the coaches for the third time. She was second-team All-Big Ten by the media as a freshman and a sophomore, junior and senior first team. Markowski has also earned a spot on the 2024 All-Big Ten tournament team by averaging 17 points and 12 boards. I'm going to repeat that. 17 points and 12 boards. That's not just barely making a double-double. That is averaging a rock-solid double-double. Also 4 assists over 4 games, including 23 points and 13 rebounds and 5 assists in the Big Ten championship game. All right. Britt Prince is in the midst of one of the best freshman seasons in history by a Husker in 2024 to 2025 this past year. The 5'11 guard from Omaha ranked second among the Huskers with 13.4 points while adding 4 rebounds and a team best with 4 assists and 2 steals. Prince became the 4th Husker in the last 4 years to earn a spot on the All-Big Ten freshman team, when she was selected by both the coaches and the media to the 5-player team on March 4th. Prince also captured honorable mention All-Big Ten accolades. Prince led Nebraska with 17 points, 5 assists per game in the Big Ten tournament. She was injured, out. Nebraska struggled. She came back. Nebraska not only played better as a team, she played the best ball she's played all year during that Big Ten tournament. All right. Final thoughts here on Britt. She became the first Husker freshman point guard to reach 100 points in her first 8 games when she put up 7 points and 7 boards over Minnesota on December 8th. The only Husker point guard to score 100 points in 10 or fewer games is Nicole Kubik, 10 games. She did it in 1996. All right. Prince also matched Jordan Hooper. You're talking about a lot of her high school accolades, which we talked about before, but I thought that this was pretty cool. All right, going back to her state tournament in high school, Prince also matched Jordan Hooper for number 2 in state tournament history with 271 career points. Now, Nebraska does spread the scoring around a little bit more than most people might realize. Nebraska's put at least 5 players in double figures in 7 games. It was 32 games this season, including 6 Huskers in double figures in a 91-71 victory at Maryland, their most impressive win of the season. All right, perhaps the most amazing part of the double-figure scoring performances for the Big Red through 32 games is that all 7 games have featured a different group of scorers that have ultimately included all 12 players on the active roster in the start of the season. The only Huskers to score in double figures in each of those 7 games with at least 5 players in double figures were Alexis Markowski and Britt Prince. All right. It's been an interesting season for the men, women's basketball, and I've talked a lot about how I think Amy Williams has done a really good job coaching, being able to call audibles on the fly, being able to adjust to things thrown at this team. And we've talked about Natalie Potts being out. Okay. We talked about Wiedner being out as well, who has started ever since she was a freshman. You're probably losing, man, easily 2 of your 5 starters, but maybe 2 of your 3 best players, which forced Britt Prince to become one of your 2 best players. And the team responded. I think there was a lot of ups and downs this year for the men, which is a little bit of a question mark but as to why. But when you look at the women, it's like, man, with everything they dealt with the injuries, with losing the types of players that they lost, it's very understandable. But they still found a way to have a strong Big Ten tournament run. They still found a way to have a solid season, get into the tournament. And I've actually, completely biased in this, but I predicted them to beat Louisville today. But I think they've done an amazing job, not only Amy Williams coaching, but the players on the team as a team responding to adversity, responding to injuries, and being able to have a really good, a little bit of a tumultuous, I shouldn't say tumultuous, a little bit of an up and down season, but finding a way, again, to win multiple games in the Big Ten tournament. They pushed UCLA, all right, who eventually won the Big Ten tournament championship. And now they're in the tournament as a 10 seed, and they have a real chance to win this first game. And who knows what can happen from there. What are your thoughts on all that, Jake?
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see what they do. Like you said, I mean, they had a stretch there in late January, leading into February, where they lost 4 or 5. And it was this kind of deal with Nebraska women's and men's basketball. One would win, the other would lose. It would just kind of be this up and down. But both of them on the bubble. And they, like you said, they found a way to fight through their injuries to get to this point. And so congratulations to them. This is the payoff. They get an opportunity against a Louisville team that is good, but still, kind of feels like this is a close game. 1.5-point favorites, I think Louisville is at this point. But if you look at some of the individual statistics leading into this game, makes me feel a little bit better. Nebraska averaged more points per game. They averaged more rebounds. They averaged more assists. They averaged more blocks. less turnovers, which is a good thing, better field goal percent shooting, better free throw shooting, better three-point shooting. Is that because of the strength of schedule? Maybe, Louisville within ACC had to play a tough schedule, much like Nebraska did in the Big Ten. So I think you just got a very even matchup today, and we'll see. Like you said, Curry returning from injury certainly is going to give Louisville a little bit of a boost, but Nebraska should be feeling pretty good after the Big Ten tournament, where they were able to go 2-1 there. So, I think it's a toss-up game, but I feel good about Nebraska in this one to get the victory. It's that next one against TCU that might be a little bit more difficult to predict that, but if TCU wins, I should say. We don't want to be presumptive.
It is March Madness,
yes. But yeah, so I like the way Nebraska looks in this game. There's certain matchups, again, that might hurt Markowski, and I think TCU is going to have one of those. But Louisville, I think she should be able to play her normal game and get to that double-double that she so often gets to.
So she talked about how they anticipate. I mean, they've got a big girl down low as well. She anticipates it being one-on-one. She doesn't anticipate a lot of double teams early. So we'll see how she can do, how she can handle it, the type of leadership she's provided all year. You look at the last 3 games, it's the best basketball, I think, the women have played all year. You talked about a lot of the statistical advantages. All right, Louisville's got their best player back. So it's going to be a fun game to watch. I think it's going to come down to the wire. Again, that is 5 p.m. tonight, ladies and gentlemen. 5 p.m. tonight, Central Time. All right. Well, I was going to look at the update of the score. Baylor and Mississippi State just started. Now it's on commercial. It was a touchdown to a touchdown last time I looked. So that game is tied. I just got to point out, the SEC went 4-3 yesterday. The mighty SEC went 4-3 in the first. We're not talking in the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight. We're talking in the first round of the NCAA tournament. I'm listening to good old Chuck, Mr. Charles Barkley himself, talking about how disappointed he is in the SEC. Talking about how they had. I don't know. I'll try an impression. They had a great tournament. No, I can't do an impression. That's awful. They had a great regular season, but they need to have a great tournament. Now's the time that matters the most. So my anti-SEC bias ran wild yesterday while doing my picks. I couldn't be happier. We'll see what happens today. So I'm going to root for Baylor over Mississippi State, as well as several other games today. All right. A couple of other Husker sports roundups before we get out of here for this first segment. And then we will quickly do some picks on the women's basketball tournament, an update on the men's basketball tournament before we, at the top of the hour, get into some more football topics. Would Nebraska ever do a spring game with Colorado? Would, North Carolina do a spring game with Colorado? Deion wants to do games versus other teams, and he wants to have joint practices versus other teams in the spring. We're going to talk about that. Thomas Fedoni. Some scouts really like him. We'll get into that. But to wrap up this segment, the Huskers, all right, wrestling team. All right, let me find my notes on this here. Well, real quick shout out, actually. I do want to give a shout out. The men's basketball team. 7 Huskers were named Academic All-Big Ten today. This matches the most in program history. I believe we do still pretend that they're student athletes. Is that the facade that we're still pretending to live? No, academics is important. It's just more out there what college sports really is, which is a business. It's always been that way. All right. But Nebraska's wrestling team is number 2 in points as of yesterday at the Nationals. All right. And let me see. Oh, where did it go? There it is. Silas Allred. Did you see this? He was down 10-1 in wrestling and came back and won his match 14-13. 10-1. Imagine. So when you think of wrestling scoring, I was like, man, what can I equate that to for someone who's not familiar with how they score wrestling in like high school and collegiate sports? The closest thing I could come up with, and somebody can text it on the text line if they can think of a better one, I'm wide open to this, was like baseball or softball. Like imagine being down 10-1 in baseball. Obviously, you can make points quicker and faster, all right, in wrestling, but it's not like basketball. It's not like football. I was like, man, what can I equate it to? I mean, I don't understand tennis scoring. How does it go from 15-30 to love? I don't understand what all that is. Somebody got to explain that to me. So I couldn't do tennis. So baseball, softball was the closest thing I could equate it to. Being down 10-1, then coming back and winning 14-13. It was all over the place. You saw it on the Big Ten Network. You saw it on guys tweeting about it. So that was an amazing comeback. But Nebraska, number 2 in overall points. All right, heading into day 2 of the Nationals tournament for wrestling. All right, let me see here. Second in team standings. That's right. The Big Red sent 5 Huskers to the quarterfinals, while all 9 qualifiers continue tournament action on Friday, today, March 21st. And then I wanted to put a final thought on the baseball team, because coming from a guy who played a ton of baseball growing up, a guy who's coached a lot of baseball now, as someone who's helped out with a lot of teams, almost every team has a good 1 through 4. A halfway decent team is going to have like a good 1 through 5, maybe 6. The bottom of that order, a lot of times it's your catchers, it's your shortstops, it's your defensive stalwarts. Maybe it's a young guy you're trying to get reps. Back before DHs, it was obviously where your pitcher was going to be there, especially in the National League. But against Pepperdine, the bottom of Nebraska's order in their last game made the difference. All right, getting a bunch of hits. Pardon me. Coming through with key clutch hits at the key clutch time, because a lot of times they will try to just get through the heart of the order to get to the bottom of the order, knowing that that's where a team's weakness is. And if you can have a solid 1 through 9, like, it sounds overly simplistic, but if there's no holes in your lineup, or the less holes that there are, it's not a small difference maker. It's a gigantic difference maker, especially with a game like baseball and softball, where it's a chess match, nonstop chess match. Okay, walk this guy, bring in this lefty to face this guy. We're going to pinch run for that guy. All right, this guy's going to go in at this inning for this defensive spot. Like, it's a nonstop chess match. The bottom of Nebraska's order was huge. All right, Dylan Carey obviously blasted a couple of home runs in that last win over Pepperdine, but the bottom of their order is stepping up, and that's what they need. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're listening to coverage of the NCAA tournament live from Buffalo Wings and Rings at 68th and O on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Why are some people more successful? Is it talent and determination, or did they recognize an opportunity? Discover a career that lets you help families reach their financial goals as you build lasting professional relationships, one with unlimited income potential. From Modern Woodman, a leading fraternal financial services provider.
I'm Modern Woodman Regional Director Sean Erickson. Call me at 402-483-6515 to learn about career opportunities.
Modern Woodman of America. Touching lives, securing futures.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see decreasing clouds throughout the day, and it will be breezy. See an action high near 56. Tonight, mainly clear skies and light winds, a low around 29. And tomorrow, we'll see partly sunny skies return. It'll be breezy with an action high near 64. I'm meteorologist Kyle Carriker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Love is in the air, and so are big savings. It's the Big I Do event at Sartor Heyman Jewelers, South Point Pavilions, April 4th through the 6th. For 3 days only, enjoy 20% off all engagement rings and wedding bands, plus exclusive bridal collections from our top designers. Whether you're saying yes or I do, shop now for the year's best prices and selection. April 4th through 6th, Sartor Heyman Jewelers, South Point Pavilions.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most, for all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
Right now, when you drive by Honda of Lincoln, you'll see more than 200 new Hondas and over 125 pre-owned vehicles. Hi, Charlie Stone here, and with me on the line is Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, how does it feel to have so many vehicles in stock again for your customers?
Charlie, it feels amazing to see how excited our customers are. They love the ability to see, test drive, and take immediate delivery of the exact new Honda they're looking for.
Do you have some good offers to talk about?
We sure do, Charlie. We're offering financing as low as 0.9% APR up to 72 months, or great lease rates on every new Honda. It's the perfect time to drive away in the new Honda you've been dreaming of.
How about pre-owned, Andy?
We have over 125 pre-owned and certified pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Just about every make and model with prices starting at under $10,000.
Maybe it's time you experience the best, the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Spring is here. It's time to get back outside and into proper shoes this year. Brown's Shoe Fit is the place to buy this spring with their sale on athletic shoes. Get $15 off any regular priced athletic shoes with respected brands like Hoka, Brooks, New Balance, and On Running. And don't forget, Brown's carries a large arrangement of sizes and widths to fit your feet properly. Start your spring off right at Brown's Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with Taco Night on Mondays or Whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and March Madness is here, and Koppel is ready to rock and roll. We just closed the books on a tremendous February, and we're locked and loaded for a big March. True 0% APR is happening right now at Koppel on select new models. Koppel also has over 10,500 off list on new select models. So please stop on by and see what confident driving and confident buying is all about. We're right down 144th Street or online at koppelcars.com. All deals with approved credit, 0% is standalone.
Hey volleyball fans, this is Laura Dijkema, national player of the Netherlands and now the setter on Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering for us in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action. Go Big Green!
Forget the lame excuse this year. Your boss already knows why you can't make it to work for those magical 2 days in mid-March. Join 93.7 The Ticket on Thursday and Friday at Buffalo Wings and Rings at 68th and O for March Mayhem. Come early on Thursday and get a ping pong ball with a lucky team on it. And stay all day for prizes throughout and buzzer beater upsets. It's March Mayhem with 93.7 The Ticket for the NCAA tournament at Buffalo Wings and Rings, 68th and O.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with the child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
You're listening to coverage of the NCAA tournament live from Buffalo Wings and Rings at 68th and O on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. All right, Jake. Let's do our bracket predictions for the women's side. Now, we talked about this before. There's over 350 Division I men's teams in basketball. I have to imagine there's over 350 women. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know what the sixth Vermont. I don't know much about Vermont or Lehigh quality teams, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about Nebraska, and then we're going to go Sweet 16, Final Four, National Champ prediction. So it's going to be a little bit sped up from yesterday. I know enough about the major teams to talk about them, okay? But if you want to sit here and ask me about 12-seeded Ball State, my assumption is they won the MAC because they're from the MAC. They're in the tournament. They're the 12th seed, and that's where those types of seeds go. But I don't factually know that. I'm not going to pretend to. So let's talk about Nebraska. Let's talk about Louisville. And we've already talked about it. Let's make our predictions. All right, I gave mine away earlier this week. All right, I said Nebraska because, well, it's going to be a close game. I really don't know who's going to win, and my bias is showing through. And I like the way they played to end the tournament. Louisville's getting their best player back. They did struggle in the ACC tournament. For me, I'm going to go Nebraska because I want to go Nebraska, and it's a coin flip to begin with.
Yeah, that's. I think a lot of us are.
Sound logic?
Yeah, that's a lot of us are falling in there. It's going to be a close game. I mean, it's a tough one to predict. Again, from the national level, but as a Nebraska fan, we are probably feeling. We see some stats, some things we like. We factor those in a little bit more than the ones we don't. Like I said. I think that there are some of the stats that look good for Nebraska. Again, they average more points, rebounds, assists, better field goal shooting, better three-point shooting, better free throw shooting. The only thing they don't in the major categories is steals. So look out. If Louisville gets too many steals, that could be a problem. But they average less turnovers than Louisville, too. So I just think it all sets up pretty well for Nebraska to get a win, but it's really going to need to be a big game, again, from not just the stars. Because you look at Louisville, they've got a few different people averaging around 10, 13 points. And you know, they're starting 5 plays quite a bit, but they get a little bit more support from their bench. Nebraska relies heavily on Britt Prince and Markowski, and so you're going to need somebody else or a few other people to step up in these games. I mean, these are tough. And then the other thing is you look at this Louisville as the 7th seed, kind of compare some of the wins Nebraska's got. We know in women's basketball, especially in the Big Ten, there seem to be kind of these tiers. Well, Nebraska has beat the equivalent to a 7th seed. If you look at some of the teams they've beat in the Big Ten, I think Iowa's a 6th seed. They beat them. You know, so you just kind of look up and down it. So this is not a game that the Nebraska is going to be outmatched in. They're just going to have to fight a little bit harder, and I think they got it within them to do it.
Take that, Iowa. We beat you earlier this year.
right.
We're going to ignore the second matchup. All right. If we win, the assumption is that we'll play TCU, all right, in Fort Worth. Obviously, that's where TCU is located. They are the Big 12 champs, the number 2 seed in their region. All right, let's say TCU wins. Who you taking in round 2?
You make me the bad guy first.
Yes, that's why you're going first. That's right.
I'll go ahead and say it. I think TCU's just too tough. I mean, I can go through some stats here for the women's tournament altogether. Is that the women have the number 1 seeds, and I know TCU's number 2, but they're pretty darn close to number 1. They could have had an argument for it. Have won 23 of the 30 titles. That's close to 80% of the time. It's 77% of the time compared to 64% of the time for the men. And I know this wouldn't be in the first round, even first-round upsets. Men's first-round upsets, according to seedings, happen 26% of the time. Women's 18% of the time. So upset, it's a little bit more of a chalky tournament. And TCU is just a heck of a team with Haley Van Lith. And then they're like you said, kind of they're forward. They're big. They got down low. It'd be a tough matchup for Markowski. So I think I'll be cheering for the Huskers, but I think that's a tough hill to climb.
All right. So you want a little bit of a swerve ball here?
Sure.
All right. I do not have Nebraska women's basketball beating TCU in the second round. All right.
Okay.
The swerve is Fairleigh Dickinson. 29-3 is going to upset TCU in the first round. And Nebraska is going to play Fairleigh Dickinson in the second round. Hey, there's got to be upsets somewhere.
There do.
All right. And Fairleigh Dickinson is going to go down to the Big Red, and Nebraska women's basketball, and my bias, runs wild, and they're going to go into the Sweet 16. That's what I'm going with. What say you, Jake?
Bold prediction.
29-3 is Fairleigh Dickinson. Give him some credit.
I'll give him some credit, but it's playing in Fort Worth. You could be right. We'll see what
What
happens.
conference are they in? I don't know either. That's okay. We don't have to know. They just have to score one more point. It's not that hard. Just score one more point than TCU. Then they can play Nebraska into the Sweet 16. All right, that's who I'm going with. All right, let's do the rest of our Sweet 16 here. You go to the Spokane region. I'm going to go with UCLA. All right, they're the number 1 overall seed in that region. NC State is the number 2 seed in that region. A lot of this is going to be a little bit more chalk. I am not going LSU. As the number 3 seed. I don't have them in. I do actually have Michigan State in as well. And let me see here. Baylor from Waco. Not the team from Fort Worth. From Waco.
Yeah.
All right, so Baylor. So I got UCLA, Baylor, Michigan State, NC State in that region. Who do you got in the Spokane region there, Jake?
I like your picks. I think UCLA is going to get there. I think Ole Miss gets past Baylor. And then I like chalk down low. I like North Carolina State and LSU to both get to the Sweet 16 here.
All right, let's go to the Birmingham region, South Carolina. You and I were discussing this. Like, South Carolina's decent at baseball. They're decent at football. How are they just so freaking good every year at women's basketball? Do they have a men's basketball team? I know they do. I never hear anything about them. It's like they put all the funds and resources into the women's side, which is totally cool. I've got them in. I think that's a fairly easy one. My eyes went right to Alabama. I object to that. So I'm going to go with 12-seeded Green Bay making a little bit of a run.
There you go.
Yes, there is my dark horse along with Fairleigh Dickinson. Number 3, North Carolina, and number 2 seeded Duke. All right, in the Sweet 16 from the Birmingham region. Who do you have there?
Yeah, North Carolina Duke. That'll always be a fun one. I like how they set that up. Should be the 2-3 matchup there. But I do think I like Maryland. Maryland's been good. I think they can make the Sweet 16 run. Might end there against South Carolina, but I think they get it done.
All right, let's go down to that's not the right region. Ooh. All right, let's go to this region over here. It also says Spokane. They don't split it up into 4 different locations then?
No.
Like they do in the men. Okay, let's go to the other half of the Spokane region. Number 1, USC. I think they're really good. They're going to be in the Sweet 16. All right, number 2, UConn into the Sweet 16. You know, they haven't been a number 1 seed in about 4 years, and it's been way longer than that since they haven't made the Final Four. It doesn't matter where they're seated. You don't want to be the number 1 seed in their side of the bracket. They will take you out. All right, but I've got USC and UConn into the Final Four. I'm going to go with Kentucky, who is beating Liberty right now, 41-33, as another team in, and I'm also going to go with Oklahoma State. All right, the 7th-seeded Cowboys. All right, who you got, Jake?
I like your picks. You're going a little bit more out there than I am.
So he compliments me and then takes a jab. I like it. I like
USC to get there. I think they'll take on the 5-seed Kansas State, who I think will get over Kentucky. And then, UConn, like you said, it's tough to pick against them. I like Iowa, the 6th seed, to make a little run.
Hawks guy, here we come.
Yeah, that's
Hawks guy, here we come.
They got to show they could still get it done there in Iowa City. So I think they make a bit of a run this year.
Hey, you know what? Of your Sweet 16 teams, we have beaten Maryland and Iowa. The women have.
That's right.
That's right. And I've got us into the Sweet 16. So in the other bracket, I've got Gag Me You. If you don't listen to the show, that's Texas. All right, I've got Gag Me You in. They're the number 1 seed. I have Nebraska, the 10th seed in. Sorry, TCU. You are not in, my good friends. I have, all right. I'm going with Creighton. All right, they're getting in. And Michigan. Dude, I'm just now realizing, I know I'm biased against the SEC. It's like all Nebraska and Big Ten teams I have in. I am insanely biased towards Nebraska and Big Ten teams, and I'm okay with that. Who you got?
Well, let me ask you first of all, if you're picking Creighton, that means Creighton and Texas in the second round. Who are you cheering for in that one?
No. Don't look at all that. Just go.
For in that one?
Who am I? I root for like if Texas were to. Dude, I could go down a deep, dark rabbit hole with this. I was about to say who I'd root for if Texas played themselves, but that could get ugly real quick with the words that I would choose. I'm rooting for anybody who plays Texas.
Yeah, I was going to say, you call them Gag Me You. I suppose that's the bottom of your list.
Yeah, that's the bottom of they could play anybody. And I'm rooting. My 2 favorite teams on planet Earth are Nebraska and whoever's playing Texas. That's how I'm going to look at that. So, all right, you weren't supposed to look at that, by the way. All right, go ahead.
All right, well, as much as I hate Texas, I think they're a pretty solid team this year. They are 1-2 against South Carolina. So South Carolina's knocked them off recently, so that's kind of interesting. But still, we're the number 1 team entering tournament play. So I think that they get rolling there. And then on the other half of that, I think Tennessee's been a good program back to the Summit days. See if they can make a run from the 5 seed. And then I don't think TCU is going to have problems in Fort Worth. So I think they are going to get there along with Notre Dame.
All right, let's do our Final Four. So let's go back to the first half of the Spokane region. Out of that region, I am going to go. It's going to be a little bit more chalky for me. So I have got the number 1 seed UCLA. All right. In the original half of the Birmingham region, I'm going to go number 1 seeded South Carolina. All right. Let's go to the other half of the Spokane region. I'm going UConn. I know we're taking out a Big Ten number 1 seed in USC, but my bias can only run so deep. I'm going with 2-seeded UConn. I set that up earlier. You had to know that was coming, okay? Unfortunately, my bias with the Huskers does run out at the Sweet 16. God, this hurts my soul. I don't even want to tell the team. Okay, I'm going to put it off like my kid's going to bed. It's Gag Me You. All right, they're the other team in. You go. So for me, I've got South Carolina. I've got UCLA. I've got Gag Me You, and I've got UConn as my Final Four women's teams.
Yeah, if I look at the regions, I think it's been a story all year long in the Big Ten of USC and UCLA, and I think they're going to get there. I think South Carolina has been, a very dominant team, 30-3.
No love for UConn. You're just ousting them.
No love for UConn.
Right. Okay.
But I do think Texas. I will agree with you, Gag Me You. I will not cheer for them. In fact, I think they will get up in it. I think TCU does make it out of that region.
All right. I don't even have them out of the first round. You got them into the Final Four. All right. I actually like that. You know why? Because it means Gag Me You doesn't get in. So I'm actually happy with your bracket over there. All right. So, who who you got in the national title game? Because in the Final Four, we would have UCLA and South Carolina playing. All right. And the other game, for me anyways, UCLA, South Carolina, the other game would be UConn versus GAG-MU. I'm going to go with UConn over GAG-MU because I can only put my bias aside for so long when it comes to Texas. So I'm going UConn. And in the other half, the best team in the country, I think anyways, is UCLA. So I've got UCLA over South Carolina.
All right, fair enough.
In the national title game, that would make UCLA and UConn.
Yeah.
You don't like that at all, do you? you don't like anything about any of my picks. The moment I picked Fairleigh Dickinson over TC, you checked out, didn't you?
I give you credit because you picked a little bit more upsets in the women's tournament. My whole strategy was not to pick too many upsets. So my bracket's not all that exciting. But I do ultimately think that we get to USC. I think maybe it's best for the sport, but I think it's also the best team in the country is USC, and Juju Watkins, if she can get a tournament run going, we could see maybe something similar to what we saw with the Caitlin Clark mania as well. So I think ultimately we're going to see USC take down South Carolina in the championship game.
USC taking down South Carolina. All right. So I am looking up something real quick because I know UCLA and USC have played at least twice. And I know they split. I want to see if there's a tiebreaker game in here.
So there is. UCLA has lost. They're 1-2 against USC this year.
Ooh, I don't care. I'm going with UCLA. Yeah. All right. I'm going with UCLA over UConn. UCLA, mostly the Big Ten, wins the national championship in women's college basketball. Any final thoughts before we head to break and we update the men's bracket when we come back?
No, I'm just glad we get to borrow USC and UCLA and say it's the Big Ten this year. I appreciate that.
They walk right in, and they're two number one seats. Thank you very much. All right, let's contribute more in football, and that'd be very helpful too. But thank you for your contributions in women's basketball this year. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
You're listening to coverage of the NCAA tournament live from Buffalo Wings and Rings at 68th and O on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Automotive Solutions is Lincoln's one-stop shop for all your vehicle needs, from vinyl wraps to engine repair and maintenance. Automotive Solutions offers fleet services as well as printing and graphic design for vinyl applications, plus installation of vinyl for boats, trucks, cars, and anything else you want wrapped. Perfection is their standard, and they never settle for less. Call today at 531-249-5600 or go to automotivesolutionslincoln.com to learn more. That's Automotive Solutions on 2024 Southwest 5th Street in Lincoln.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with the child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Spring is here. It's time to get back outside and into proper shoes this year. Brown's Shoe Fit is the place to buy this spring with their sale on athletic shoes. Get $15 off any regular priced athletic shoes with respected brands like Hoka, Brooks, New Balance, and On Running. And don't forget, Brown's carries a large arrangement of sizes and widths to fit your feet properly. Start your spring off right at Brown's Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
Love is in the air, and so are big savings. It's the Big I Do event at Sartor Heyman Jewelers, South Point Pavilions, April 4th through the 6th. For 3 days only, enjoy 20% off all engagement rings and wedding bands, plus exclusive bridal collections from our top designers. Whether you're saying yes or I do, shop now for the year's best prices and selection. April 4th through 6th, Sartor Heyman Jewelers, South Point Pavilions.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
Get ready for spring by joining an evidence-based program to improve your health and well-being. These programs use proven strategies to help you make lasting changes, whether it's boosting nutrition, increasing activity, managing stress, or enhancing wellness. Invest in yourself today and feel your best this spring and beyond. Paid for by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey volleyball fans, this is Laura Dijkema, national player of the Netherlands and now the setter on Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League Volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering for us in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action. Go Big Green!
Looking for a financial partner that truly makes a difference? Modern Woodman is a member-owned fraternal financial services organization. We can help you plan for all stages of life, from protection to saving to retirement. We also offer member benefits, social activities, and volunteer opportunities to help your family and community.
I'm Sean Erickson, your Modern Woodman representative in Lincoln. Call me at 402-483-6515 to start the conversation.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
You're listening to coverage of the NCAA tournament live from Buffalo Wings and Rings at 68th and O on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. I forgot to start off the show, so we're going to do it now. This is a show where you're going to get unique insight, unbridled honesty, and producer Dick and I are going to have a whole lot of fun in the process. What you're going to hear, Husker sports, college football, and especially on a day like today, sports in general. Let's give our men's tournament bracket update. I don't want to brag, Jake, but I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On the left side of my bracket, I went 7 for 8. All right. On the right side of my bracket, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 for 8 on the right side. I don't know if you're great at math, but that's 14-2 yesterday. You who doubt my Fairleigh Dickinson pick, a team that is 29-3. I saw your eyes glaze over the moment I picked that game. It's like you checked out after I was talking after. That's okay. That's right. We'll see who's right.
You were finding a way not to pick TCU over Nebraska. I know what you were doing.
Lies. Lies. And a little bit of truth. But a whole lot of lies. All right. Where are you at? What's your update on your tournament bracket?
I was just going to pull
Are
it
you
up
14-2?
Try to see. I haven't even
You
checked
don't
it out.
even.
No.
Oh, wow.
I'm pulling up the
Ducking, huh?
our 93.7 The Ticket bracket, see if I'm up at the top.
Oh, you're trying to pick. I only filled out one bracket. You're trying to pick the one you did better on? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I only did fill out one for the 93.7 The Ticket. I did fill out 3. Sherrell Farley was talking me into being a multi-bracket guy, and he's got one of his brackets doing pretty well today, but
All right.
he said it wasn't even his the bracket he was expecting.
Well, I'm not going to let you out of this. I want you to pull up that bracket. Pull up the one you're doing the best on. I'm okay with that. And I'm going to Creighton versus Auburn tomorrow.
Yeah.
The Creighton Blue Jays taking on the number 1 seeded Auburn Tigers. This is a game that I expect to be much still a line from Lee Corso, much closer than the experts think. Now, I don't think a lot of people are predicting a blowout, but I do think a lot of people feel very comfortable picking Auburn in this game. Now, admittedly, I'm going to pick Auburn to win this game, but there's 52.4 random number off the top of my head that's close to 50% confidence that I'm going to go with this. 52.4% confidence that Auburn wins. I'm looking forward to Creighton and Auburn squaring off tomorrow. You've also got Michigan versus Texas A&M, Big Ten versus SEC. Drake, did you pick Missouri? Did you pick Drake?
I think I picked Missouri.
All right, I got that Drake upset. I'm happy about that. Going to play Texas Tech. All right, Kansas. All right, Kansas. The one Midwest team that I can always count on being good in basketball. Not so much. Arkansas moves on. Arkansas is going to take on St. John's. BYU and Wisconsin. I'm actually pretty excited about that game. Houston and Gonzaga. My Lord. Gonzaga just stomped a mud hole in Georgia yesterday and walked that thing dry just for fun. McNeese, the belle of the ball so far, taking on Purdue, and UCLA taking on Tennessee. That's all tomorrow. As far as updates right now, the mighty SEC, Mississippi State is up on Baylor by an extra point, 30-29. All right, Jake, if you haven't found your bracket by now, I'm going to call you out for just ducking, dodging, dipping, and diving. All right.
That's right.
Please tell me you get that reference.
Oh, yes, I do. That's dodgeball.
Good old dodgeball. All right, where's your bracket?
I think
Oh, God.
I looked it up. It's
Come on.
tied for 182nd right now, so that's not very good. So I try to check now how many of them I missed. But that's I'm not where I wanted to be, I suppose. So far, I saw Nick Stainer was ahead of me. I know Sorensen's near the end, so he had a really rough day the other day.
Oh, you just had to point that out. No, that's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
okay. No, it's not Jake that's my – well, it is Jake. Yeah, it's Jake Bakoven, not Jake Sorensen. That's my co-host. All right. That's cool. It's cool. Just chastise my Fairleigh Dickinson pick and then run and hide when it comes to the men's bracket. All right. Is that clip ready of Bobby Knight talking about Michael Jordan from when he coached him, I believe, on the Olympic team? Is that clip ready?
Should be ready. We have to check with Ellie back in studio.
All right, Ellie, let us know when that's ready. We're ready to run. We're ready to run that clip whenever the clip is ready to be ran. All right. Were you able to locate it or not? No, you can't. Talking about your bracket there.
Have to really be a flexible leader if you're going to be an effective leader. I walked into the locker room after the first half of our game with Spain in 1984 for the gold medal. We're ahead by 29 points. We played basketball as well as the game can be played. Michael Jordan has played 12 minutes. Out of the 20, he has 11 rebounds, 9 assists, and 19 points in 12 minutes. In my opinion, there's nobody that's ever played anything that can compare to Michael Jordan, with the possible exception of Jack Nicklaus and Babe Ruth. Michael Jordan is just the best there ever was at what he does by a considerable margin.
You're good.
So I'm walking across the floor with this 29-point lead as I look at the scoreboard, and I'm a great believer in the best 3 minutes of the game for us has got to be the first 3 minutes of the second half. But what the hell am I going to say? Hey, we got to get better. We're 29 points ahead. We got to win by 59. These kids are going to be a little bit satisfied with themselves. They know how well they played. And when I get to the locker room, I still haven't come up with an answer. I open the door, and the first guy I see is Jordan sitting in front of his locker. Idea light flashes. I say to myself, I'm going to get on Jordan. And everybody else is going to say, God, if he's upset with Jordan, how's he feel about me? 12 minutes, 19 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, and I have the stat sheet in my hand, and I walk over in front of Jordan, and I look down at him, and I say, Mike, when the hell are you going to set a screen? We got 4 guys out there screening when you're in the game, screening to get you open, screening to get each other open. Haven't seen you set a screen yet. The only way I get all 5 guys screening, Mike, is to get you the hell out of the game. Now, when are you going to set a screen? All you've been doing so far is rebounding, passing, and scoring. You need to screen, Mike. Now, Jordan, you've all seen the grin. I mean, it's the greatest grin in the world. Doesn't quite use all of his grin in this circumstance. But he looked up at me and he grins a little bit and he says, Coach, didn't I see last week where you said I was the quickest player you'd ever been around? I said, Mike, what the hell has that got to do with you screening? Coach, I think I'm setting them quicker than you can see them out there. Well, I was flexible enough to look at Jordan and say, slow him down a little bit so I can see him.
All right, Jake. I don't have deep thoughts on that clip. It's two of the best ever. It's Bobby Knight. It's Michael Jordan. It's a phenomenal story. I don't know. You got any quick thoughts on it? I just thought it was hilarious, and I thought people would enjoy it.
Yeah, I like that too. It's funny to think about Michael Jordan screaming out there for other people.
That's what you're taking away.
Well, even that's like Michael. Yeah, like I bet it's happened a time or two, but for the most part, you're trying to spring Jordan over.
Now that I think about it, I don't think I ever remember seeing him set a screen. I love that that's our takeaway from this. He almost had a triple-double in 12 minutes worth of playing, and he's getting in trouble for not setting screens, even though he's setting them quicker than Bobby Knight can see him. And I just want to point out, we are live, Buffalo Wings and Rings. Jake Sorensen, day 2, has turned heel again. He's getting booed by the people who are not winning stuff. So I just wanted to point out, yeah, hi, Jake. How's it going? I'll boo you too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to turn our attention to college football, the Huskers. Should the spring game in the future, and why or why not, first of all, make a return, and should it be against another team, and should we have joint practices leading up to that spring game? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're listening to coverage of the NCAA tournament live from Buffalo Wings and Rings at 68th and O on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Why are some people more successful? Is it talent and determination, or did they recognize an opportunity? Discover a career that lets you help families reach their financial goals as you build lasting professional relationships, one with unlimited income potential. From Modern Woodman, a leading fraternal financial services provider.
I'm Modern Woodman Regional Director Sean Erickson. Call me at 402-483-6515 to learn about career opportunities.
Modern Woodman of America. Touching lives, securing futures.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Wellman Plumbing at 402-434-2400 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-434-2400. At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com.
I'm Karen Carr. I've been a realtor for 31 years. When I made a company change 12 years ago, I chose Lincoln First Realty, now NP Dodge. It's the oldest independently owned realty company in the country. Since becoming NP Dodge, we've continued our tradition of community involvement. Our management and staff are always available to offer support in marketing, technology, social media, and educational opportunities.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see decreasing clouds throughout the day, and it will be breezy. It's a national high near 56. Tonight, mainly clear skies and light winds, a low around 29. And tomorrow, we'll see partly sunny skies return. It'll be breezy with an afternoon high near 64. I'm meteorologist Kyle Carriker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Yesterday, your water heater worked just fine. Today, surprise! When you're out of hot water, just call the plumbers at Bryant. In most cases, you can get same-day water heater replacement. What you won't get is a costly surprise with the bill. At Bryant, the price you're quoted is the price you'll pay. No last-minute extras for piping or ventilation alterations. Need a new water heater? Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Hey volleybalfans, this is Laura Dijkema, national player of the Netherlands and now the setter on Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering for us in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action. Go Big Green!
Hey Stars fans, I'm goaltender William Prowse. Be here at the Icebox on Saturday, March 22nd, when we host the Sioux Falls Stampede at 6:05. It's Pucks and Paws night at that box, so you can bring your dog to the game with you. Lock in your seats for March 22nd now by getting your tickets at lincolnstars.com.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to coverage of the NCAA tournament live from Buffalo Wings and Rings at 68th and O on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
All right, welcome into hour 2 of the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. All right, couple of final thoughts on some other things before we officially dive into a little bit of Husker football here. It was announced yesterday on Twitter, the women's tournament payouts, all right, will now pay $113,000 to conferences for each game their teams playing in the tournament. So you get paid more for each additional game that you win and keep on playing as a conference as a whole per team in the tournament. A perk that men's teams, I should point out, have had for years. Did you see this? Dude, Minnesota held their pro day at Anytime Fitness. Have you seen this?
I did not see that. The Golden Gophers?
Yeah, they held their pro day at Anytime Fitness. All 32 NFL scouts are sitting there inside this Anytime Fitness. That blows my mind. Why? Do they not? They have an indoor facility, right?
Maybe they must be doing something to it or something. I don't know. That's odd.
That is what it is, I guess. All right.
Row the boat. Row the boat.
Row the boat, my friend. All right. Richie Saunders, a BYU forward on their basketball team. His great-grandfather invented tater tots.
There you go.
Do you? Okay, if you were given the choice between fries, onion rings, or tater tots, how would you rank those? 1, 2, and 3 as far as what you would choose?
Probably the way you said it. Probably, I'd probably go fries, tots, and then onion rings.
See, I need more info. Are we talking wrinkle fries, regular fries, waffle fries? I need more specificity because waffle fries are going to be number one. My number one overall seed and my entree turn. I couldn't think of a better term. And in this debate that we're having here, it would be waffle fries number one. I actually am a fan of tater tots.
You are?
My mom made tater tots a lot growing up. All right, so tater tots would be 2. And I actually like onion rings. I'm sitting here eating an onion ring, all right, or what's left of it. So I like all 3 of those. But for me, it would be fries, especially if it's like wrinkled fries or waffle fries. And then number 2 would be tater tots. All right, and then number 3 would be onion rings.
Can we boost the rankings for tater tot casserole? Have you had tater tot casserole?
Oh, that's a new one.
Fantastic.
Tater tot casserole. Have you had green bean casserole like at Thanksgiving or something?
Yeah, it's kind of similar to that. There's green beans, tater tot casserole.
Dude, you got to bring a tater tot casserole someday. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I am very intrigued now. I'm a big potato guy. All right. Not baked potato, big potato guy. Baked potato would be on this list of, let's say there's 3 to 5 options. It'd be the 1,000th option, in my opinion.
Not a fan.
It's way too healthy. All right. And you probably saw this, but Grand Island native Brooks Wells, reffing in the NCAA tournament, gave a technical to Louisville head coach Pat Kelsey yesterday. Did you see this? It was literally right after my show ended. I drove home, turned on. My wife had the 4 screens on, the one TV going, and then the Louisville coach basically walks out on the court, gets a technical. The ref that gave him the technical. All right. Oh, I got a text. Andy Jurassic. I agree with Jake. Tater tot casserole is legendary. I've never even heard of this. Dude, you have to bring it in now.
I got my friend Megan. He's the one that actually makes the best tater tot casserole I have.
All right. Now I'm intrigued. I love my wife and my mom's green bean casserole every Thanksgiving and Christmas. All right. But it was Grand Island native Brooks Wells, reffing the NCAA tournament. They gave a technical to Louisville head coach Pat Kelsey yesterday in the game versus Creighton. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of cool. Plus, I mean, you're from Grand Island, Creighton's from Omaha. Is there a little bit of bias in there, maybe? Now, if you watch the game, he deserved the technical. What are your thoughts on this? Is there a little bit of Nebraska bias? Or maybe he would have been anti-Creighton if he's a big-time Husker fan. They took a risk here. I'm just saying, the tournament took a risk putting him in there as a ref.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd like to give, I know we all hate refs all the time, but I'd like to give our own a benefit of the doubt here. So as for Nebraska, we'll just say it was the Louisville coach deserved it. We'll just put it that way.
I don't hate refs all the time, just the Big Ten ones come football season. That's it. Let's be more specific, okay? All right, and I mentioned this earlier. Since January of 2023, Georgia, probably the top football program in the country. They won a lot of football games. They've won 24 games. They've had 25 players arrested. They've had more players arrested than have won football games. They've won a lot of football games since January of 2023. That's crazy to me. I got a question for the text line before we move on. If you could bring back one former Husker opponent for a rematch, one-time game, one time. I didn't have to say that twice. One game, one time. Former Husker opponent, who would it be? Which is going to lead into our spring game versus an opponent conversation. I don't know that I'd make it a rival, especially if you're going to do joint practices. That could become a problem. All right, but we're going to get into that talk in a second. I want to give it out to the text line. If you could bring back one Husker opponent for one game, who would it be? Let us know.
This isn't like a 93, I want Florida State again. This is like upcoming this year. Who would we face?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
All right. What's that number, Jake? Let them know.
402-464-5685.
It continues to never change, but I appreciate Jake continuously repeating it. Let us know. Text in your answer. Let's have a little bit of fun with that. All right. One last item before we dive into the spring game discussion. Did we get a text?
I'm going to pull it up. Let's see.
All right. Let me know if we do. All right, while you're looking that up, the Carriker Chronicles football camp is officially live July 9th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. here in Lincoln, Nebraska at the LYF Lincoln Youth Football Fields. All right, it's going to feature Heisman Trophy winner and College Football Hall of Famer Eric Crouch, Green Bay Packers Hall of Famer, all-time leading rusher for the Packers as well, two-time national champ Amon Green, yours truly. And honestly, if that wasn't enough, we're going to have at least one more Husker legend there as well. All right. Like I mentioned before, there's one guy 90% in. He's a freaking legend. If for some reason it doesn't work out for him, there's a couple other guys I've spoken with as well. Boys and girls, K through 8th grade, autographs, T-shirt are included in the camp. simply go to carrikerchronicles.com. Across the top of the website is a banner. There's also a picture of Eric, Amon, and myself. And in the menu bar, it also says football camp. Click on any of those things. All right, carrikerchronicles.com. That's where you can register your kids and or players as well for this first annual, somebody told me it can't be annual till it's year 2. First annual Carriker Chronicles.
Like that, yeah.
Carriker Chronicles football. It just annoyed me. Like, come on, man.
There's always somebody with some smart aleck with something to say.
Golly, I know, right? All right. Again, that's Eric Crouch, Amon Green, myself, July 9th. Go to carrikerchronicles.com to register. All right. This Deion Sanders talked about. Now, people get mad at me. Like when I openly say that I've liked Deion Sanders. He was my favorite NFL player as a kid. And, you know, it's interesting. He goes to the Niners. They win the Super Bowl. He goes to the Cowboys. They win the Super Bowl the very next year. I'm not saying he was the reason, but there's a reason teams and certain players tend to win more than others. I think it's a fair point. And sometimes you connect dots and things just add up quickly. I don't like people who can't talk trash and back it up, but I love people who can talk trash and back it up. I love that. I think that's the pro wrestler side of me, okay? Yeah. So he was my favorite NFL player as a kid. I'm obviously very intrigued by him. The worst thing about him is that he coaches at Colorado, all right? That aside, try to take that out of the equation. I'm very intrigued by what he does. I love that he's willing to go outside of the box and do things completely different because he believes it's best. I love that about Matt Rule. He's not afraid to be first. He's not afraid to do it before other people. And then all of a sudden, other people start to do the same things that he was already talking about Rule. And Deion, he's a little bit more out there, but as long as you're doing what you believe is best, that's more important than doing what's popular. Because at the end of the day, what's popular is going to be winning football games. And if you're doing what's best, you have a better chance of winning football games, and that's ultimately going to be the most important and most popular thing. Deion Sanders talked about he believes the spring game should be against other teams, and he would love to do joint practices with those teams the week of leading into the spring game. Now, it could be an FCS team. It could be a team like if let's equate this to Nebraska. So we could go out. It could be give me an FCS team, just a random FCS team.
Northern Iowa.
Northern Iowa. It could be Northern Iowa. Okay. It could be a team that we consider to be similar to us. Give me a team similar to us.
FBS level, you mean?
Yeah, FBS level. Hopefully, there's not an FCS team that's equivalent to us.
That's tough to say where we're at. I mean, suppose Pittsburgh or something.
Sure, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Cal popped into my head. I don't know why. I see them as like a 7-6 type team. Why is that funny?
Because I was doing the same thing. I was like, who's 7-6? Wake Forest, Pittsburgh. You know,
I love that you went East Coast. I went West
our
Coast.
Our annual 7-6 team.
Yeah. So it could be Cal. It could be someone better than you. You could go and be like, hey, we really want to push ourselves. Now, people would be hesitant to do this, but there'd be that coach or coaching staff out there that would want to do it. And Clemson, Georgia, I don't know, any of these teams that are college football playoff type teams. Okay, I would assume you probably wouldn't want to do it versus a Big Ten team. All right, you probably wouldn't want to pick a rival, especially if you're talking about joint practices. Things can get nasty and ugly. All right, you want the competitiveness to get raised. Now, immediately, the two big concerns that you hear. Poaching. That's why we're not having a spring game this year. I would be opposed to this. First of all, I have thought it should be against spring game. Spring game should be against other teams since I was a kid. I've always thought that just made sense. Okay. Poaching. Gigantic problem. I would be opposed to this, except within a year or two, I fully expect there not to be a post-spring transfer portal. If there's no post-spring transfer portal, there's no poaching that's going to happen. So this kind of coincides with that taking place in a year or two. So if there's no post-spring transfer portal, there's no poaching to be concerned about. Then it's injuries. Adam, what about injuries? You're more likely to get hurt. And I talked about this earlier. If you're scrimmaging yourself in a typical spring game, so spring games will come back if there is no post-spring transfer portal. You have 22 players on the field versus you're going against another team, you've got 11. All right. So now you literally have half the amount of players on the field with the potential to get hurt, but the players who are getting reps are getting better reps because they're against somebody else. It does. Deion talked about it gets monotonous going against yourself all the time. If you think about it, you go against yourself all spring. Then you go against yourself all fall. I will tell you right now, it becomes boring and it becomes insanely monotonous at a certain point. Usually towards the end of spring ball and usually the dog days of camp, especially when there was 2 days back in the day. But the dog days of camp are the middle. And that when you get towards the end of camp, you start to see a little bit of the light. The game's getting closer. All right, usually jobs have been figured out, who's first, who's second. Also, they start to change practices because now you're getting ready for an actual opponent. But usually the middle part of camp, towards the 50% way into camp to the 75% with 25% left to go. That 25% is when things start to get more geared towards your first opponent. The dog days of camp, and it can become hard. I mean, I went as hard as anybody. I'm wired to run through a wall. Whether the wall wins or not, I will get up and I'll try to go again. It doesn't mean I always won. It means I was willing to try again and go again. But it became hard to go after a while. When you face somebody else, when the competition changes, when you're going against a different team, you're going to see their ones, all right? And you're going to be going against their best, and you're going to push yourself. If you look at NFL teams, because I've had fans hit me up, be like, well, hey, NFL teams, they don't play their starters in the preseason. Yes, they do. I've already talked about this. The first game, now if there's 3 preseason games, it typically goes starter play first quarter, all right, and then the starters in game 2 play the first half, and then game 3, every team's a little bit different. Sometimes starters will play the first quarter. Sometimes they'll get the entire week off, game off, I should say. And a lot of times that week of practice, you become the scout team for the guys trying to earn those final spots on the team. It just depends. But actually, starters do play in the preseason. They play quite a bit. So I don't see why a spring game would be any different. You're going to scrimmage yourself as it is. So you're going to scrimmage yourself throughout the spring. So if you know you're going to go against another opponent, you can incorporate that in there as well as part of your planning. So you actually don't have to go to the ground any more often than you otherwise would. It's just allocated differently. And the other thing for me, when you're going against somebody else, you're going to get a better, let's say there's a tight end who's just standing out every day in practice. Well, how many times do guys stand out in spring or they stand out in the fall? Then they aren't the same when games roll around. It's because you're not getting a complete accurate picture because maybe you're weak at linebacker and they can't cover them as well. Or maybe the O-line looks really good because the D-line is not as strong on a particular year or vice versa. You can get a more accurate depiction of what's going on. You're going to get more competitive situations. You don't have to go to the ground in the practices at all. You can save it for the game. So, again, you don't actually have to go to the ground any more often than you otherwise did. I can argue there's actually less of your players on the field actually going to the ground when you're scrimmaging another team versus 22 of your players scrimmaging each other. So you're going to get a better look. They're going to go harder. It's going to be more competitive. There doesn't have to be any more risk because you don't have to scrimmage to the ground any more than you otherwise would have because teams are going to do it throughout the spring. It's just allocated differently if you don't have a spring game versus if you do. And you're going to iron sharpens iron. To me, the injury risk actually doesn't increase at all, in my humble opinion. You just, the days you scrimmage to the ground are allocated differently than if you don't have a spring game or if you're going to scrimmage yourself in the spring game. And I remember when Frost had the 2-hand touch spring game, I freaking hated everything about that. Thought it was a joke. Okay, and I still do. So you can allocate it however you want. You're going to get better reps. You're going to get better looks. And then let's think about it from the fans' perspective. How much more excited would we be? Let's say it's Pittsburgh. We're going against Pittsburgh. We know our starters are only going to play. And if you only want to have them play one series, some NFL teams, the first game, their starters play the first 15 plays or one series and they're out. Fans would understand that. But if you just go through the first quarter, fans would be pretty happy with that. And I think you can be 15 plays. That usually takes for each team, usually about the first quarter. And 15 plays isn't a ton. And then you think about the joint practices. Think about that time of year. There's not a lot to talk about football-wise. You've got March Madness. You've got other things going on. Usually, actually, March Madness is done by that last week of the spring, the last week of April. So March Madness is over. NBA season isn't in the playoff season yet. Major League Baseball season isn't into playoffs, not even close yet. You're kind of just getting rolling. There's not a lot of news right at that point in time. All right. So for me, I think networks would pay a lot of money, not only for those spring games, for the joint practices. I think it would be really intriguing for fans. If you're trying to make more money to pay your players in this day and age where you have to make more money because players are getting paid more, you could make exponentially more money. And I'm not knocking what they're doing this, at the end of April with the Husker Games or whatever it's officially called. Makes me think of the Hunger Games or the Squid Games. I hope it doesn't turn into that. But the Husker Games, you're going to make exponentially more with an actual game versus a team and then 2 or 3 joint practices the week of leading into. And the injury risk doesn't have to be any more. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you take the TV and the coaching element out of it, what coach wouldn't want to do this, right? I mean, like you said, you kind of really get to measure yourself at that point in time You have enough time to kind of make some changes or some tweaks. But I do think that that's what would prevent it. Like you said, you got to get rid of that post-spring transfer portal in order to do this, just to make it so that nobody's poaching each other. Because you would. I mean, if you played those games, you look in the fourth quarter, freshman maybe that you're playing on a red shirt, and if he's doing really well against Pittsburgh, well, then, teams with that hole would definitely be after him and be texting him. So it's interesting, the whole debate, because some, like Coach Matt Rule, he doesn't want his players getting out there because he knows those offers will come. Whereas Colorado, they're going to nationally televise their spring game on ESPN2, and they're looking to.
They want to poach.
Yeah, they want to make more money out of it. So it's just kind of interesting to see the different philosophies. But I do think if you take the tampering or whatever word you want to use out of it, the transfer portal portion out of it, I think almost everybody would be signed up for this. Coaches, players. Though here's the one drawback: you could lose the spring game. Would that hurt any momentum, you think? You lose to Pittsburgh for Nebraska football before even starting the season.
So somebody pointed that out to me. Do you have any idea what any of the NFL teams' preseason record was this past year, the year before, any year ever?
No.
The only thing I ever remember knowing is that the Colts went 0-4 every year when they had Peyton Manning, and that's like the only thing I ever remember. And obviously, they won Super Bowls during that same time, so it didn't matter. I don't think anybody would care, especially if your starters are out after the first quarter. Everybody knows what's going on. So I don't think it's going to be like a downer, like you win a bowl game, that can give you momentum carrying into the offseason. I don't think winning the spring game, like let's say TJ Lateef is in there in the fourth quarter, okay? Let's say he's our fourth string quarterback, and he leads us on a game-winning drive. That is awesome, but what does that mean for this fall? You know what I mean? I don't think, unless people want to overblow it just because they want clicks and they're looking for attention, I don't think it would get overblown. Because once that first quarter's over, you know who's in the game. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do we have anything on the text line? Did you pull up that text from earlier? I mean, what are people's thoughts in general? Because I've thought this since I was a kid. The one thing that never dawned on me that Dion brought up was the joint practices part. And I will tell you, as a guy who's gone through camp and spring practice without joint practices, and then with the Rams when we played the Titans and they had Vince Young NFL preseason game 1, when we did joint practices with them, exponentially better. First of all, it gives you something to look forward to, but you go harder. And I felt like I got better in that camp than I did in a lot of camps because you're going to, or that guy's going extra hard. And I was going against Kevin Mawai, one of the best ever, I might add. He was going to pancake me every play. So anyways.
Well, let me ask you real quick, because that was the concern that Rashawn had. He said he's, been in some of those NFL scuffles during, the practicing each other against each other. Would that be a big concern of you where maybe cheap shots or fights or anything like that breaking out when you're facing team to team?
It's more likely to happen versus another team than it is yourself. Well, people get sick and tired of seeing each other too if it's the same people day after day. I do think it is more likely to happen versus another team. It's the reason I would not do it against another conference foe or a rival. I would not. As awesome as it would be as a fan, I would love to do it against Colorado. I don't know that it's smart. Okay, it's more likely, but you know why? Because people are going harder and they're getting more out of it. Typically fights, I've seen 2 fights where there was a clear-cut winner and loser. What happens in a fight is usually some idiot's punching somebody in a shoulder pad because they have no idea how to fight with pads on. Howie Long pulled me aside one day and he's like, "This is how you fight. Grab the face mask, lift it up, uppercut the Adam's apple, and destroy him." I was like, all right. I used that a couple times. Yeah. But aside from Howie Long pulling me aside, most people aren't going to know. And so what happens is there's a couple of errant punches thrown. Nobody has any idea what they're doing because they're big, angry guys who don't know how to actually fight most of the time, not all the time. And then, bam, everyone breaks it up. But it adds more. It adds more juice. Okay, so, again, in all the fights I saw over the years, in the 20-plus years I played football, I think I saw 2 come to an actual finish. And that's because it ended in 5 seconds, not because it went on for a minute. It ended in 5 seconds because of the combatants in it was so lopsided. But for me, I think that's really would be my only actual concern. But you've also got to talk to your players, the coaches. Everyone kind of knows what's going on. You're trying to beat the crap out of each other, but you're trying to make each other better too. Is there anything from the text line? Has anybody chimed in? Because I'm waiting I know it's an unpopular take. I know it's an unpopular opinion, and I'm waiting for people to tell me I'm insanely wrong. But you got to make actual arguments. Don't just tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong and why.
Well, you got some text on some previous stuff. About 3 or 4 people are shocked you've never had tater tot casserole.
Wow. I've never even heard of it, Jake.
And then we've got some thoughts about any opponent that you can play for this upcoming season. Someone chimes in, 1922 says Kansas. Lemon and Thunder, not Collins, both thinking similarly. They would like to play UCF in Scott Frost, as that would be a great game. Also, I think it was not a Thunder, not Collins. I think somebody else also said Florida State. Of course, that would be a good one with Tony White. And then Hoghead Nate says, I'd like to see Oklahoma and on a yearly basis. Just feels right.
Okay, so to be clear, those were just regular season games. Those were not spring game opponents.
Right.
I love UCF would be phenomenal. Florida State would just always be good. All right, we still need to give vengeance for that 93 Orange Bowl. I'm just saying. Who was the other one? Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I want to see Kansas. I'm cool with that. It doesn't stick out to me, but that's cool. Oklahoma is the team I'd like to have a permanent rival on our schedule every year, and I'd like it to be Oklahoma. If I had my druthers, it'd be Oklahoma. I would not do any of those teams for a spring game, though. Like, you got to be smart.
Yeah.
Because if you walk in and it's Scott Frost on the other side, or you walk in and it's Tony White, yes, Vershawn's concerns go through the roof with validation. I mean, they're validated anyway, but they go through the roof with validation. No, not teams like that for the spring game, but in the regular season, I'd love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're listening to coverage of the NCAA tournament live from Buffalo Wings and Rings at 68th and O on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Saturday, Nottingham Forest plays Man City at 6:30 a.m., followed by Liverpool versus Southampton at 9 a.m. On Sunday, Tottenham plays Bournemouth at 9 a.m., followed by Man United versus Arsenal at 11:30 a.m. Liverpool currently leads the standings with 67 points. You can find all this and more on McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket, your place for English Premier League soccer, located at 8th and P.
Well, it's the middle of winter, the holidays are over, and the weather is unpredictable. Isn't there anything to look forward to? You bet there is. Cash Blast from your Nebraska Lottery is back. Until April 1st, buy a 2x2 ticket and enter the voucher number online for a chance to win one of 7 weekly drawings for $5,000 or $500. And if your voucher is from a 7-day draw ticket, your prize is doubled. Hey, there's nothing like a little green to cure the winter blues. 2x2 top prize odds, 1 in 105,000.
Hey Stars fans, I'm goaltender William Prowse. Be here at the Icebox on Saturday, March 22nd, when we host the Sioux Falls Stampede at 6:05. It's Pucks and Paws night at that box, so you can bring your dog to the game with you. Lock in your seats for March 22nd now by getting your tickets at LincolnStars.com.
Yesterday, your water heater worked just fine. Today, surprise! When you're out of hot water, just call the plumbers at Bryant. In most cases, you can get same-day water heater replacement. What you won't get is a costly surprise with the bill. At Bryant, the price you're quoted is the price you'll pay. No last-minute extras for piping or ventilation alterations. Need a new water heater? Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
What's going on, fans? This is Lexi Rodriguez, 4-time All-American at Nebraska and now proud member of Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League One Volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players, and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering us on in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action this season. Go Big Green!
Hey Stars fans, I'm goaltender William Prowse. Be here at the Icebox on Saturday, March 22nd, when we host the Sioux Falls Stampede at 6:05. It's Pucks and Paws night at that box, so you can bring your dog to the game with you. Lock in your seats for March 22nd now by getting your tickets at LincolnStars.com.
Attention all Wings fans. Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 89-cent boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.29 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Buffalo Wings and Rings today on 68th and O or in Williamsburg Village. Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
Outside is where winter adventure unfolds. On frozen lakes, icy landscapes, and snow-covered slopes, feeling the cold air rush by as you race downhill. The freedom of gliding with ease and the warmth of being together. From epic sled rides to the fun of ice fishing, it's all right here beneath Nebraska skies. Start your winter adventure at yournebraskaparks.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Associations and this station.
We're in Baton Rouge at the original Raising Cane's with the man that started it all.
Wait, are you the Yes Chef guy?
Todd started this place 28 years ago with one goal in mind: making the best chicken fingers in the world. We got their famous box combo, chicken fingers, crinkle cut fries, Texas toast slaw, and their world famous cane sauce. Could shed a tear right now.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
You're listening to coverage of the NCAA tournament live from Buffalo Wings and Rings at 68th and O on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here at 93.7 The Ticket. All right, is there any updates from the text line there, Jake? While Jake's looking that up, let's give some updates. All right, last I saw, Baylor was up by a touchdown, a 2-point conversion over Mississippi State. The SEC is behind again. All right, there's another game going on, but it's on commercial. I'll let you know what that score is when it comes back. And to be clear, with the spring game, if the post-spring portal stays open, I would not do it. This is contingent upon that portal, as expected, for folks I've chatted with, not being there. Then spring games will come back, and then the discussion of joint practices and doing it with other teams and coaches and teams working together is on the table, and I personally freaking love it. Did anybody else chime in? I'm surprised we didn't. Here's what I think's happening. I think people were so opposed to this idea that Dion talks about it. Mike Norvell, Florida State's head coach, came out and said he liked this idea. Now you got this crazy big mouth guy flapping his gums that he likes it too. And people are like, whoa, is there some traction to this? And I think people are like processing something they'd never even considered as possible, as maybe this isn't the most horrifically horrible idea ever. Or maybe they're just being nice and not telling me how completely dumb and foolish I am. Is there anything from the text line? Are people agreeing, disagreeing? What do we got here, Jake?
Well, we got a couple thoughts. Jeremy in Lincoln says, what about bringing Northern Iowa in for the spring game? 5704 says Iowa State. I don't know if that's for the spring game or just to play somebody next year.
I like Iowa State for the spring game, though. That'd be a good match.
Yeah. Thunder Not Calling says, I believe you're at higher risk of cheap shots leading to injury with lower level schools. UCF and FSU will be a cleaner spring game than you think.
Did he say UCF?
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate dude, you have been very interactive. Thunder Not Collins, by the way, it's a great name. I do disagree with the UCF thing. I think that would become interesting and a highly entertaining way for fans and a not so great way for coaches and players, in my humble opinion. I love it as a one-time game, though, but not for the spring game, in my humble opinion. So if you could bring back, I didn't ask you. For me, if I could bring back an opponent every year, it'd be Oklahoma. I want Oklahoma on our schedule every year. I don't know if they're interested in doing that with us because they've got Texas, okay?
Yeah.
So they consider that their big rival. And they might even look to Stillwater and say Oklahoma State would be the other one we'd want to do. I don't know. For us, it'd be Oklahoma, in my humble opinion. All right, that is the best college football rivalry of all time that is no longer being played on a consistent basis. I don't even think it's a conversation. If I could pick a one-time opponent, which is what I had kind of indicated, which is 1 year, one time, Texas.
Oh,
Texas.
wow, yeah.
Texas. Texas. Gag me you. All right, who's your team, Jake?
Well, I don't know if I could take more heartbreak from losing to Texas. We've done enough of that.
You and your daggers. You almost made it a whole day without a dagger.
Well, I just, I think there's a reason we all hate Texas because they always break our hearts or use some sort of clock malfunction or something to help beat us. But, one way or another.
Clock malfunction.
But you know what I really loved was the early 2000s Notre Dame series.
Ooh, I like
really
that.
did, and I would like to go back to that. Nebraska fans went to South Bend in heavy numbers. That was really cool. And then the return game here was really cool too. And even just stylistically, I would be interested to see how, because they made the championship game the way that I think, the same way Michigan won the championship was this hard-nosed football, smash mouth football. In Nebraska, I don't think they're necessarily going back to that, but that's a little bit of their identity historically.
Yeah, I love that idea. If I could have a second team, I Notre Dame's got to be on there as well, or a second or third team. I really like that pick. All right, I should mention the family and I, if you're going to be at the Love volleyball game tonight in Omaha, the family and I will be there as well. Don't be afraid to come up, say hi, snap some pictures. All right, whatever you want to do, throw the bones. I have some children who are overly friendly. We, in fact, need to work on stranger danger a little bit more, if I'm being honest. We're driving. Oh, my God. My wife's going to get so mad if she's listening today. We're going on a family bike ride the other day. We haven't done one of these in, years. There's this guy, let's say, relieving himself on the wall, and, all my kids just don't even notice it. And they're just, waving, hi, hi, hi. And I'm like, oh, my God. We got to work on stranger danger just a smidge with our kids. All right. So Thomas Fidone. All right. This is an individual. You look at Daniel Harms on X. He's a film analyst for the Draft Network, Draft Scout. And this is kind of what prompted it. He's not the first one I've seen it, but he was the most recent one because I've seen it a few times. People seem to like what they saw at the Senior Bowl. They seem to like what they've seen from Thomas Fidone when they watched the film. He talked about how he does a lot of things when he watches Fidone's film that he didn't expect to see, knowing how to sit down in a zone properly versus breaking off a route versus man, all these different things. He's a big target, 6'6", obviously highly recruited kid. Everyone knows about the 2 unfortunate knee injuries. Throughout this process, I've heard little to nothing outside of a couple of tweets from the East-West Shrine Bowl about Nash Hutmaker. But you hear probably the most about Ty Robinson for a reason, but then it's Thomas Fidone. And I don't mean to say that in a tone of voice to come across disrespectfully at all. It's a little bit surprising to me. First of all, I know teams are going to be a little bit leery, all right, with all due respect to the 2 knee injuries. But I felt like when he was here, the man gave a ton of effort. I mean, he worked his butt off. I don't question any of that. But I didn't feel like he was the best blocker. When he would catch the ball, turn up the field, I referenced the ball in the flat earlier, just turning and going, it took a little bit longer than you would have liked to have seen. So I'm not surprised that you hear positive things about Thomas, because I felt like maybe some fans were frustrated with him. Maybe he was frustrated with some fans. And, maybe even some things that were said throughout the media. I didn't talk about him a ton, to be honest with you, because I felt like he was having a little bit of a hard time. And when you're coming back from major knee injuries like that, all you can do is work your butt off. And all I ever heard was that he worked his butt off. So I would talk about him, but not much, because I wanted to give him the insane benefit of the doubt. I think for me, I'm a little bit surprised to the extent of the positivity that I'm hearing, and that a lot of NFL scouts think he is not just more likely to be drafted ahead of a guy like Nash Hutmaker, but absolutely going to be drafted higher. And that's surprising to me on a certain level. What about you, Jake?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of thoughts kind of going through your head there, and one is right, is that by the time he was here at Nebraska, he was fighting for minutes. Now he did finish off pretty well in that bowl game, so I think you got to give him credit for that. 5 catches, 50 yards there. This was after the whole Wisconsin social media post, all that he was able to bounce back. So again, give him credit to do that and stick with the team and move forward there. I have been a little bit surprised just because I don't feel, maybe his health is a little bit better now than it was during the season. But we talk about kind of that lateral quickness, and he had some kind of big moments of missing blocks, had some big blocks as well, but had some big moments of missing blocks this past offseason. Just never felt like we got the best of Thomas Fidone, or at least, the upside that people wanted to see there. That being said, I do think he is a little bit undervalued here at Nebraska, because the expectation was for him to be an All-American, okay, but still 373 yards last year. I think he had close to 250 the year before. In this past year, I think he had 2-3 games, I don't know how many it was, over 50 yards. That's pretty good for a tight end, especially in what we would say is somewhat of a limited offense this past season, not a burning offense at least. So, when I look at it all, I was even somewhat surprised that he was invited to the combine. I mean, I know he had,
I was too,
had the athleticism
honestly.
altogether. Yeah. So it is a little bit. I can't say that I'm not surprised either. I didn't feel like that this was the time to go for his dream, but he might know better than we do.
All right, and I'm going to hold you to this. Not me. I'm not going to hold myself to it. I'm just going to hold you to it. What round do you have him? Is he going to get drafted in?
Boy,
Remember, I'm going to hold you to this.
Like you said, that injury history is still there, even if they do like him. So I think that'll hurt him a little bit. But I mean, given the chatter about him, I mean, I think you could see maybe a 5th or 6th round pick.
I was going to say 5th, potentially at the highest, 7th at the lowest. This was a guy that maybe some people would have been like, I don't know if he gets drafted when he first declared. I do know that Rule kind of was like, hey, with your 2 knee injuries, you need to get there. You need to be in the league as long as possible. And that starts with getting there as soon as possible so you can maximize the amount of length that you are there. Because eventually those things will become issues the more hits you take over time, the knee injuries. And so I do know he felt like that was the best thing for Fidone, to be clear. Not trying to push him out, trying to do what's best for him, okay? That's what I have been told, and I 100% believe that. I think part of that is I wonder if Rule also kind of knew, there's some things that people are going to like about this kid when they're evaluating. As a guy who's evaluated kids coming out of college, coaching at Carolina, and who they were going to draft and where they were going to rank them on their draft board, I can't help but wonder if he felt like maybe there'd be some surprisingly very positive comments that people in Nebraska hadn't anticipated when NFL scouts start to look at Thomas Fidone. So for me, I think it doesn't help when you have, he's the number 1 tight end in the country. The number 2 tight end in the country is Brock Bowers. And then you look at what Brock Bowers did, what he's doing. Number 13 overall pick, by far the best rookie tight end in the league last year and arguably already a top 5 tight end. So for me personally, I'm curious to see how this unfolds, how this develops, because Thomas is a guy who highly decorated coming out of high school, highly ranked and recruited, had some unfortunate knee injuries, as we know, but has worked his butt off, and people do think highly of him in the NFL, and I'm very curious to see how his NFL career unfolds. I also feel the same way about Hutmaker, almost in the opposite direction, because he's flying under the radar more than I think he should. And obviously, Ty, everybody loves Ty Robinson, but you got any final thoughts on that before we head to break?
Yeah, no, I think it'd be interesting. I think Tommy Hill's very fascinating. Isaiah Nayor. I mean, you just kind of got an interesting group. Where beauty will be in the eye of the beholder there for different teams. I think are going to be very interested in them. Other teams are not going to think twice about them. So, just kind of interesting there. I will say this with Fidone leaving, and we've done this over the years, whether it be with McNeil or Kyler Reed or Ethan Carter or somebody where you go, well, they leave and you go, I don't know if Nebraska targeted them enough while they're here. I don't know if I get that feeling with Thomas Fidone. I think it was, I think the usage rate was probably about what they got out of him. So it's just kind of interesting to see that. But, it's always fascinating. Sometimes at the end of your career in college doesn't necessarily translate to the next level. And this is a different sport, but Delano Banton was on the bench by the time he was leaving Nebraska, and now he's playing in the NBA. So we'll see. I mean, again, I think everybody's going to be cheering for him.
Everybody?
And hopefully.
You think everybody?
I would say about 95% of the Husker Nation will be cheering for him. We'll put it that way.
I think most Husker fans will. I think there's that portion. I get it. There's that portion of Husker fans who are like, man, if you didn't do good here and then you go to the next level and do good, that makes us look bad. And so I do think that's in the back of some Husker fans' minds as well. When it comes to usage, man, and we got to get to break, but when it comes to usage, 2 years ago, we couldn't throw the ball. Last year, we were just an offense struggling in general as an overall whole. So maybe that usage thing makes Thomas Fidone show a few more, give him the opportunity to show a few more of his skills in the NFL. We'll see what happens. All right, ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, Cam Scattaboo is getting sued by a former teammate. Angel Reese threatens to sit out, and somebody has already timed Shadur Sanders in a 40-yard dash. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're listening to coverage of the NCAA tournament live from Buffalo Wings and Rings at 68th and O on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Looking for a financial partner that truly makes a difference? Modern Woodmen is a member-owned fraternal financial services organization. We can help you plan for all stages of life, from protection to saving to retirement. We also offer member benefits, social activities, and volunteer opportunities to help your family and community.
I'm Sean Erickson, your Modern Woodman representative in Lincoln. Call me at 402-483-6515 to start the conversation.
Modern Woodmen of America, touching lives, securing futures.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
What's going on, fans? This is Lexi Rodriguez, four-time All-American at Nebraska and now proud member of Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League One Volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players, and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering us on in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action this season. Go Big Green!
McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Saturday, Nottingham Forest plays Man City at 6:30 a.m., followed by Liverpool versus Southampton at 9 a.m. On Sunday, Tottenham plays Bournemouth at 9 a.m., followed by Man United versus Arsenal at 11:30 a.m. Liverpool currently leads the standings with 67 points. You can find all this and more at McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket, your place for English Premier League soccer, located at 8th and P.
What's going on, fans? This is Lexi Rodriguez, four-time All-American at Nebraska and now proud member of Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League One Volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players, and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering us on in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action this season. Go Big Green!
Outside is where winter adventure unfolds. On frozen lakes, icy landscapes, and snow-covered slopes, feeling the cold air rush by as you race downhill. The freedom of gliding with ease and the warmth of being together. From epic sled rides to the fun of ice fishing, it's all right here beneath Nebraska skies. Start your winter adventure at yournebraskaparks.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Associations and this station.
We're in Baton Rouge at the original Raising Cane's with the man that started it all.
Wait, are you the Yes Chef guy?
Todd started this place 28 years ago with one goal in mind: making the best chicken fingers in the world. We got their famous box combo, chicken fingers, crinkle cut fries, Texas toast slaw, and their world famous cane sauce. Could shed a tear right now.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
Big Brothers Big Sisters is bringing back Bowl for Kids' Sake. Create a team, raise donations, and join the bowling celebration at Sun Valley Lanes and Games on May 2nd. Every contribution helps to create and support one-to-one mentoring relationships for Lincoln's young people. Learn more and register today at bbbsmidlands.org under the Events tab. Big Brothers Big Sisters, igniting the power and promise of Lincoln's youth for over 50 years. When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Greens at 402-467-4444 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-467-4444.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Wrestling fans, it's time to elevate your game, just like Stevens & Smith Construction does for your concrete needs. As your full-service concrete contractor, we deliver solid results every time. From singles to doubles, fighting for inside position to scrambling reversals, we know how to pin down quality and slam expectations. Stevens & Smith Construction, a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket, where Husker wrestlers bring you all the action. Don't stall. Stevens & Smith Construction is here to help you build a concrete foundation for the win. Check us out at www.stevensandsmith.com because stalling is a penalty and winning is the only option.
You're listening to coverage of the NCAA tournament live from Buffalo Wings and Rings at 68th and O on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Quick tourney update. All right, Baylor is up by a touchdown and a field goal over Mississippi State. Alabama and the mighty Robert Morris. Alabama is now up by a touchdown. Oh, no, Robert Morris scored there. Alabama is only up by a 2-point conversion, 46-44. I tell you what, the SEC, my anti-SEC bias, it's helping me out so far. I got a quick question for everybody, though. Terrell Farley's helping out. I appreciate that. Hey, doing math and converting it into football terminology is harder than you think while you're talking. That's right. Terrell's trying to do the math with us. All right. I do have a quick question, though, because you said everybody or 95% of people are rooting for Thomas Fedoni. How many people in Nebraska do you think are rooting for Scott Frost? What's the percentage? I want to know. What's the text line? I want to hear what people got to say. We got to get out of here in like 2 minutes, but I want to hear what people have to say. What do you think real quick?
I would hope at least.
You would hope?
No.
Uh-huh.
I would say maybe about 55%. I think it's barely maybe over. I think a lot of people will still remember and appreciate his time as a player. Hopefully a lot of people appreciate at least an effort put forward to try to win here at Nebraska.
I think you just made a case against him.
I was going to say other folks dislike
if you hear certain things, to
begin with. So, I think it's probably pretty split. I think, and I'm in the camp, I'm cheering for Scott Frost, but I think it's probably close to 50-50. I'll go 55% cheer for him.
I think it's the coin toss of all coin tosses. All right. News. Arizona State running back Cam Scatterby was being sued by ex-teammate Matheos Katagaris over a practice field injury. In 2023, Katagaris and another player were in a golf cart when Scatterby jumped in, collapsing the cart and causing a ruptured triceps tendon for Katagaris. We're suing teammates now from 2 years ago. That's what college football has turned into. All right, I just thought this was interesting. Angel Reese, if y'all don't give us what we want, we sitting out. That was a quote. Somebody quote tweeted that. Steve Inman on X, this was his take. I can assure you nobody is watching to begin with. Now well, I'm not going to read the rest of that. He doesn't think anybody cares, and I'm not going to read the rest of that. But I will say this. The WNBA is more popular than it's ever been. My thought would be don't take it for granted, though. Keep building. You know what I mean? Take that type of mentality. And this person on X was watching film of Shedeur and decided to time a 40. And here's what he said. Shedeur Sanders isn't running a 40 at the NFL Combine, so as a former NFL scout myself, I did the next best thing. I timed him running a 40-yard dash from a game a couple years ago, all right, to see how fast he is. I timed him with the stopwatch from his first step at the 50 until the 10. All right, so we can see the picture. It's at Jacksonville State, so it's pre-Colorado. Okay. But he's at the 50, so he's already got forward momentum. It's not a dead stop. Now he is in full pads. So that must be pointed out as well. Clocked him at 5.37 seconds. He's not his dad. He does not have speed. He's not fast. But does that seem accurate? That's like a slow offensive lineman time.
Well, and he tries. He moves all around the pocket, doesn't scramble as much, but usually, when he does scramble, it's to throw, to find somebody open downfield. But you got to give him credit to be a top prospect at that position without inheriting as much of his dad's athleticism. Not that he doesn't have some of it, but I think you got to give him some. I think you got to give him a lot of credit for that. But yeah, his speed's not going to be what's going to make him an NFL player.
That may be the only 40 time we ever get on Shedeur Sanders. I just thought it was fun and interesting. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a phenomenal weekend. Go Creighton. Did I just say that out
Don't
loud?
say that. Don't say that.
Well, just beat Auburn. How about that?
There you go.
Because it's Nebraska versus the SEC is what I'm breaking it down to. Creighton, go beat Auburn. There, that's the way I'm going to put it. Go, Big Red. And always remember to throw the bone.